In today's video, I'm going to show you how to track the market share of DeFi protocols. This is a great way to evaluate their fundamental strength and also to come up with new trade hypotheses. In this video, I'm going to use DeFi Llama for the tutorial. DeFi Llama is one of the best data platforms in crypto and also a company that I happen to be an executive at. All right, so let's jump right into the video then. Here we have the DeFi Llama homepage, and remember, what we want to track here is market share, and market share could come across a variety of metrics. It could be total value locked, which is deposits. It could be volume, if it's a decentralized exchange. It could be fees or revenue. We're going to use revenue most of the time. So to start, we're going to go to custom dashboards over here on the left. And what these shows are dashboards that the community has created. Many of them, honestly, I've created, my team has created, and we're making a lot more. So I think that if not now, in the near future, anything you want to find, you'll be able to find. But it also lets you create dashboards yourself. And it's free to view dashboards. You have to be a pro member to actually create them, but there's hundreds available as a free member, and more being created every day. So to show you guys what I'm talking about, I'm going to use this Hyperliquid dashboard, which is the most bookmarked community built dashboard. And this is actually one that I've created. And what's really important to note here is that growing fundamentals don't necessarily mean as much, or sometimes they don't mean anything, if it doesn't coincide with growing or maintained market share. Because sometimes what it can mean is that an entire category or an entire chain is growing, and the protocol might actually be losing market share, but it might be being boosted by the entire category. And the point of this video is not to be bearish or bullish in any particular protocol, but to show you how you can use this as a tool in your analysis toolkit, because some of the protocols that might look bad in this, I may actually like. All right, so that being out of the way, let's talk about this. So we've got perps volume by protocol here. And one of the cool things about these dashboards is it will automatically populate the top protocols for this metric and or chain. So here we've got the top 10 perps volume protocols. You can see last month, Hyperliquid was number 1, followed by Lighter, followed by Aster. And you can see that total perps volume has been going crazy. And this is a really important point. Total perps volume is going crazy. And if we were looking at Hyperliquid in a vacuum, we would have seen that Hyperliquid perps volume was maybe not going crazy, but showing growth, right? You look at this and say it's showing growth. All right. But total perps volume is actually going crazy. And so what is what's the result of this? The result of this is that Hyperliquid's market share is actually going down. So we can see that on this chart here. We can see that Hyperliquid's market share was around 56, 57% in August, July, excuse me. Then it started to dip a little, drop below 50% in September. Last month, it was only 22%. It was still number 1, but it was 22%. Now, there's an issue with this, right? Which I know some people are already thinking is some of these other protocols could be incentivizing volume, or we try to pull out that's like extreme versions of wash trading, but there could be protocols that have no fees and are wash trading. But even with that, that's why you need to look at other metrics too. You can't just look at one. That's why you need to apply some second degree analysis. But the indisputable part is that Hyperliquid's volume is steady or up. However, its market share volume is decreasing. You can look at revenue, for example. And so revenue, let's see, perps volume revenue. So this is perpdex revenue only for perpdexes. We can see this is also growing substantially, and Hyperliquid is far and away number 1 here. And if I toggle this to percentages, then let's see what the picture is. Hyperliquid's percentage of all perpdex revenue was around 69% in July. Nice. And since it's dropped to around 56%. In this month, we're only 2 days in, so I'm going to give zero credence to that. So basically, it's lost a little bit of market share and revenue, but not very much. And so this is why you need to look at both absolute market share and also different metrics. What this tells us is Hyperliquid's volume is steady or growing slightly, but its market share and volume is significantly waning. However, it's still making the most money. And I think this is probably the most important because looking at what people are actually paying takes out a lot of the noise of is there wash trading, is there not? We can argue all day. All that really matters at the end of the day for for the protocol is, are people paying to use it? Because if there's a lot of volume and people aren't paying, then like, you know, it basically, it removes a lot of confounding factors. And so seeing market share of this is significant. Another one, like if we're talking about trade ideas here, right? Something that's interesting is we see this EdgeX protocol, their market share has grown from 5%, less than 5% in June to, we're only 2 days in, 45% so far this month, but the past 2 months, 20 to 25% market share in revenue. And so I actually don't think they have a token yet. But you know, that would be like a good example where we'd say, okay, this protocol is gaining market share. Maybe we could look at some smaller protocols as well, all right, and see if any of those ones are gaining market share. It doesn't look like any of the ones in the top 10 are right now. But yeah, that would be a great way to assess whether something was growing. All right, now we're going to go back to Discover, and I'm going to show you one more example to give you a sense of how this works. And let's go to prediction markets. I'm sure we can find several. This one here looks good. I think this is actually one of mine. So here is a perfect example. We've got the total prediction market volume up here, and then we've got the prediction market volume market share down below. And here we've got, we'll switch both to be weekly. And so here what's really helpful is you get the macro level trend, right? This is filtered to the prediction market category. You can see that the total category volume has been going crazy. And by the way, this Kalshi volume, this is actually off chain. It's just tracked as like a relevant metric for crypto market participants, since most prediction markets are on chain. But we can see that this total prediction market volume is increasing significantly even within the past week. And so these don't have tradable tokens yet, although hopefully that changes soon. But if you were looking at Polymarket, for example, you would be like, you might notice that its volume was going up. It appears to be. But then you'd want to say, okay, like, well, is it gaining dominance in the category? Or is it just being boosted by the fact that prediction markets are going mainstream? All right, so let's look at the volume market share. We'll focus on Polymarket. Polymarket was far and away the most dominant last year during the election, like no comparison. It lost a lot of market share coming up through September, and my understanding is a lot of this is due to sports betting on Kalshi, so it's like a very different use case. But it was down to below 30% in some parts of September, and then since then it's regained some of its market share to be 30 to 40% most weeks, over 40% this one week. So to me, I would say like this is actually pretty bullish for Polymarket, because you can see that they are like the category is growing, which is always a good place to be. And on top of that, they actually have been gaining market share the past few weeks. Not to mention we have some smaller protocols that seem to be gaining market share as well. For example, Opinion has jumped up to actually be number 3. And then you've got Limitless and Myriad. Let's see if we look at the monthly chart. A couple months ago, these protocols were, Limitless was already there, but let's say if we go back to the summer, Opinion didn't exist, I guess. Myriad was tiny. Limitless was less than 1%. And now Limitless has grown their market share. Myriad has also had some weeks where they were noticeably bigger, not so far this week. And then Opinion has just gone crazy. And so when you see something where the category is growing and market share is growing, that's like very, very good sign that something is worth looking into. And all this is just to develop trade theses, right? It's not to say, okay, you're going to go invest based on this 2 minutes of research we've just done. Please don't. I don't even know if you can invest in any of these yet. But you might say, okay, like I'm developing a thesis about this protocol based on their fundamentals, and then I'm going to see whether that the deeper research actually backs that up. And I think this is a really powerful tool in your toolkit. It's easy to create these dashboards yourself if you get a pro membership. For example, I'll say DEX landscape as a dashboard. Create it. It takes literally just a few minutes. You click on the add item to add a chart. You select the metric. So I'm going to select DEX volume, which you guys can't see. And now just like that, it's showing me the top protocols by DEX volume. You could filter by chain if you want to. If you want more quick videos like this about how to develop trade theses in crypto based on fundamentals, drop a comment letting me know, and be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.